are apparently the average of the 5 people you spend most time with. Therefore, surely the key in life is to find someone people love, someone healthy, someone intelligent, someone rich, and someone hilarious, befriend them all and live happily ever after. However, life, as you know, is not that simple. Since first hearing this quote, I've often wondered if this is the 5 people I've spent the most time with across the course of my life, or the 5 people I spend most time with now. I've wondered if the quality of time I spend with those people has a greater effect on my identity. And I've also wondered what spending time with someone really means. So for example, if you listen to the same radio show every morning for 3 hours, does that presenter become one of your 5? Answers aside, I'm a firm believer that everyone leaves traces on your life. And so I take great pleasure today in starting by introducing you to a man who I spent a large part of my formative years with, approximately maybe 30 minutes a day, every day, throughout my entire adolescence. This is Alf Stewart. He lives in a fictional town called Summer Bay, just north of Sydney, Australia, and he was brought into my life via the soap opera Home and Away. Alf is a brilliant man, known for his quirky catchphrases like "You flamin' galah," "Stone the flamin' crows," and "Fair dinkum, mate." He sits on several community committees. He runs local businesses. He takes anyone in need of a place to stay into his home and is the go-to man should you need to coordinate a search and rescue. And therefore it came as a massive shock to me on the day I fell out with Alf Stewart. This was approximately 20 years ago, at the age of 9, when I heard Alf refer to Tug O'Neill, the local bad boy, as a flaming mongrel. Now, I'm from a family of dog lovers, so a flaming mongrel was a term that confused me because I knew Alf didn't like Tug very much. But a flaming mongrel. Even at the age of 9, I thought mongrels were brilliant. I could spend the next 10 minutes reeling off all of the great mongrels and mongrel types I'd known in my life. And I could probably, even at 9, have quoted some science stuff to back it up. But either way, some research shows that even then, and even more recently, mongrel is a term associated with phrases like not genuine, inferior, dubious, inharmonious, or according to the ever-trusty Urban Dictionary, it's a person you really don't like. And therefore, as part of this feud, on this occasion, Alf Stewart wins. Mongrel is a term that is bad, and a term I therefore shouldn't use. Now, in spite of this trip up in understanding with Alf, I could have been described as a reasonably intelligent girl. I responded well to academia and enjoyed most of my school life doing well in a range of subjects. But this led to confusion. Was I a creative student or was I an academic student? School's careers advisor couldn't really help me out either. Should I go to uni to study medicine, a very sensible job, or dance, a hobby that I loved? Me being me, I settled for the best hybrid of the two, physiotherapy. Some might say the mongrel option, but either way, it was medical with a bit of movement. And I loved it. The course was fantastic. But at the end of the day, I didn't get to dance. And so then, for the first time in my entire life at the age of 20, I made a definitive decision. For the first time ever, I would be a pure breed. Just a dancer. Or so I thought. The course I transferred to cross-trained us in ballet, contemporary and jazz. Mongrel life resumed. But on this occasion, I was told this would increase my likelihood of employability in a saturated market because I had transferable skills. Little did I know, underpinning all of this was the common knowledge that I would never be a ballet dancer because people training with us just simply weren't genetically pure enough to do that. So once again, maybe mongrel was a sign of inferiority. After having graduated, I moved to New York to undertake my internship. Loved it. Learned loads, and when that was finished, I had to decide between staying in New York, a vibrant city with all of the dance opportunities I needed, or moving back to Dumfries and Galloway with the family. It's brilliant! With the family I loved, to build an infrastructure from scratch. And me being me, I once again chose the best hybrid I could find, Edinburgh. After that, as I was seeking employment, people would ask, but are you a choreographer, a dancer, or a teacher? They were confused. Realistically, just like school, I loved it all. And I wanted to be all three, but I didn't want to be pigeonholed as one thing. It seemed to me like I was destined for mongrel life. But on this occasion, Alf was still winning on the scorecard, and I was doing my best to fight off the impression I was a jack of all trades, because nobody wants to be a jack of all trades. Yet, I just kept going and I kept learning. Up until about 2 years ago, not only was I a dancer, teacher and choreographer, I was a contemporary dancer who trained with b-boys, or break dancers. I was a competitive whacker who also liked to vogue. On top of that, I made work in rural communities, but liked working and battling hip-hop styles in city environments. I connected with a bunch of other hip-hop styles because they were there and they were great and I loved them. Sometimes the work I did had spoken word in it, sometimes I made work for children, sometimes I made work for adults. You can kind of see where this is going. There was a bunch of things going on. And at the end of the day, none of it confused me. But at one point in time, I had 4 CVs, 3 social media pages, lots of Twitter handles, and basically had to become a really efficient manager just to communicate everything I was. I couldn't understand the confusion. Everything I did made sense to me, but confused other people. And at one point in time, it all just had to stop. So I sought some advice. Sandy Thompson is a brilliant woman. She is a director, a producer and a writer who makes boundless collaborative work. And on reading her biography, I realised she was probably a bit of a mongrel too, so might be able to help me out. So after me waffling on for about 45 minutes about all the things I did and how I was confusing people but wasn't confused myself, I asked Sandy if she could help me. And I finished this waffle by saying, I'm a bit of a mongrel, but a cultured one. And she did help me by simply saying, a cultured mongrel. Maybe want to write that down. And I did, and that was it. In one step ball change, all of my problems were solved. Cultured mongrel was a phrase that I loved and felt summed me up perfectly, but also as soon as I started using it, no one then thought I was a jack of all trades and no one questioned the fact I had multiple motivations. All of my problems solved. So I thought, but that is the thing with problems. You never see them coming, do you? So, as I started to build a company infrastructure, I decided to apply to a well-known funding body for some much-needed startup funding. The application had got through the first few stages, the panel seemed happy with everything I did, and everything was just going off to London for a rubber stamping process. When I got the email in, I was getting ready to celebrate, and then the application came back rejected, on the grounds that the name Cultured Mongrel was offensive. Now, I am a dancer. I am not the most articulate person. But I had never at any stage intended to mean that I was any more cultured than your average mongrel. I am clearly a mongrel fan. It fell out with Alf about the whole situation years before. But at the end of the day, you do get uncultured mongrels. Mongrel is not a word you can use to help you just make outrageous claims of being able to do everything. And it's not a way that you can cover up the fact you're just changing tracks when the going gets tough. After all, an actual mongrel pup has a genetic lineage. Genetics like that have depth, consistency, and connections. You can't get away from them. And it's the same with everything I do. I feel innately connected to those things. For me, culture is about people, customs, and behaviours. Everything I do is connected by some element of social activism and a hope of encouraging people to live lives that they really live, not just survive. So for me, the uncultured mongrels would be those who make claims of being able to do everything, but connect with nothing. Survival's tough these days, and I would kind of encourage all of you to become a mongrel in a situation where economic instability means that nothing's certain anymore. Not only because being a mongrel gives you greater likelihood of employability, but for me, it's been a real route to taking all the strands that don't seem to be connected and realising really where I want to be in life. If you take a minute and think of all of the roles you play, a mother, a wife, a daughter, sister, best friend, chairwoman of the PTA, taxi driver, cupcake making queen, fitness guru, traveller, I don't know. Is this not a form of mongrelism? I don't know why we're so hell-bent on denying it. Purity is a fallacy. You just don't see everyone's layers on first glance. And this isn't to say that mongrel life is easy. I can't turn up as much as people with a single motivation. But not turning up doesn't mean missing out or compromising. It just means making choices and making those choices really clear. As a mongrel, I get to do my favourite thing in life, and that is connect people. I get to sit in 2 groups of seemingly unrelated worlds, find the commonalities, and help people build connections they can trust. It's kind of tough work, but at the same time, it's for me as much a privilege as it is a responsibility, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And therefore, I have to kind of admit you're never going to find me here because I am a permanent visitor. I won't always be in your community, but I will always come back. And wherever I am in the world, I will always be your strongest advocate. So I'm sorry, Alf, but on this occasion, I think I win. Being a mongrel is pretty brilliant. And I don't know how many mongrels are sitting amongst us today or watching from other places. But as you think about all of the roles you play in your life, or you think about the people you know who have multiple and it's sometimes what appear to be really confusing motivations, mongrel is a term I encourage you to embrace because I think it makes me and all my other mongrel friends far more than the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. Thank you.